have you seen Killer Sally? Okay. Killer Sally was in my recommendations. My Netflix, on Netflix, was in my Netflix recommendations for months. And I didn't want to watch it because I knew it would be triggering for me for a lot of reasons. But at the surface, I knew that it was about bodybuilding in the 90s, okay? And I grew up in a home with a stepdad who was a bodybuilder in like the late 80s and 90s. And I don't mean casual bodybuilding, like getting your health together, building some muscle. No, I mean cutthroat, roid rage bodybuilding. So I was like, I don't want to watch that. Well, I ran out of stuff to watch. And that's usually how I find the best things. Like the stuff I've been avoiding, like, oh, and then I watch it and I'm like, ooh. So of course, triggering, right? But so anyways, if you've watched it, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, trigger warning galore, okay? Just any trigger warning you can think of, it's in it. So that's, if you need to not, that's okay. Sally was a blonde, fit, peak, like she just had athleticism, okay? She grew up, she was like a swimmer. She could pretty much do anything. She had a fit body, whether she was like even before she was bodybuilding, like she was fit, okay? Then she goes into like the military. So she gets, that mentality and stuff, and she starts bodybuilding. So she's, disciplined and she's on it. Well, she goes into some place and she's like, I have been working out and I want to start bodybuilding. And they kind of laugh at her because they think she's like just this cute little blonde. And they go, well, bodybuilding isn't just cute girls bikini modeling. And she goes, oh, I know. And she took off her sweats and she had like a bikini underneath. And they were like, what? Whoa. Because she was cut, right? She was beefed. So she got, into it. She started getting into it, and it's a lifestyle, okay? And it's not just a hobby, it's a life. So she's still working at the military. She's doing stuff in the kitchen. She said she hated that job, but she has kids. She has 2 kids at this point. They're adorable. They're mixed kids. She's blonde. I didn't see a picture of their dad, but she's blonde. So they're mixed kids, but they have, they're pretty dark, but they have their mom's blonde hair. So super just unique, cute look, right? You just want to just pinch their cheeks. They're grown now. Okay. But you see them and you're just like, oh, anyways, which makes you like attached to them as you hear this story, right? Not that you can't be attached to a kid that's not cute, but like you just see them and you just want to squeeze them. And then what happens is, okay, so Sally, she's not with the kid's dad, those kids' dad. He's long gone. And Ray McNeil is the man that she gets a crush on, okay? So he's in the military too. He starts bodybuilding and he's ripped. I mean, he's naturally ripped, and then he starts bodybuilding, so he's ripped. And I think she saw a picture of him or something. I don't know how they hooked up. Well, somebody that was also in the community was like, you got to meet Sally. And he's like, okay, I'll meet Sally. And she meets him and she says, oh, it was lust at first sight. That's what she says. It was lust at first sight. Okay. I don't know what that is, because I don't have that in me to have lust at first sight. I really got to know I'm just not interested until I know somebody. But I do know a lot of people that are, oh my God, they see somebody and they're like, oh my God. So that was that. So they meet, they start dating. He meets her kids. He becomes stepdad. They call him dad. So they have a dad-like relationship with this guy. They love him. He's always there. I think she married him within like 6 months. So the kids are really in this culture, and even the little boy says that he used to go to these events and get crushes on the ladies. Like, well, that one's pretty, like just little boy, whatever. Anyways, so Ray is kind of taken off in his bodybuilding. Sally is too, but not to the level that Ray is. So because he's doing better at it, Ray convinces Sally that she kind of needs to take the back seat and really support him so that they can have a future, right, in this industry and make money and win competitions. And she's so in lust/love that she kind of does sell her soul to make it work for him. So she is working her butt off. She's doing, these like pump competitions and all. She's doing anything she can to bring in money to funnel into Ray's his steroids and his time in the gym. Like, I don't think he works or anything. So she starts doing that to support him. And then, she does have a little name for herself. So she starts doing these like wrestling, like kind of like fetish wrestling, like two girls in bikinis wrestling, whatever. And she's getting money from that. They're starting to make videos, and the videos are selling. And then she has to take it to the next level. So she puts like an ad out, and she's doing these where she'll go to somebody's home and then like wrestle them. So like a man, she didn't say that any women were into this service. So at this time, it wasn't women that wanted this. It was men that wanted this. So they wanted a muscle woman to come to their home and wrestle them for pleasure. Like leg lock them and choke them out and, all that. They were clothed, but she said that they were like, a lot of them were stinky. Like she didn't like doing this. Okay. She got a paycheck. She said that the paycheck outweighed what she had to do, of course her kids had to find out about it, and they were like, ew, it is what it is, it didn't sound like she totally regretted it, and it ended up kind of helping her out in the long run. But that was all out there then. When shit hit the fan, all that was out there as so they could do a character assassination, And that's when she got the name Killer Sally. Like, that was like her stage name. That was her character. And when you're doing stuff like that, you got to be in character. Okay, it's acting. You got to be in character. Even if your name's Sally, you're Sally at home, but you're Killer Sally in the streets. You're Killer Sally at work. So she has to put on this persona of like sexy muscle dominatrix. Okay. So she makes a ton of money. She's flying around to driving to different big cities and, making appointments and doing this stuff. And it's all going to Ray. She was also driving down to Tijuana to get his medication so that he could beef up more. And she'd just take her kids, get in the car, drive to Tijuana to go to the, pharmacies there to pick up what he needed. And then I think she got some guff about taking her kids down there for that, which that didn't make a ton of sense to me because, I guess it would be illegal. I don't know. Anyways, he, starts to be, I think they start to be violent to each other, but in her story, he starts to be violent over the years. And also, he's cheating. Like, she's finding letters from girls, and he's got these mistresses. And so here's a dude that is taking everything from his wife. Her money, her sanity, her future in bodybuilding. Put that all aside. This is me, but also I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to use hands. I think that she probably had like some reactionary violence, and she did have a violent past. Okay, she had been in trouble before. And they made a good point in the documentary, which we'll get to later. But violent, she was off her rocker. She reminds me of Eileen Weirnose. But that doesn't mean that she can't be a victim in her home. Anyways, so Valentine's Day of whatever year this goes down, she's at home waiting on her husband, and he's at the bar. Okay? Tale as old as time, all right? She's waiting on him. He's having a blast at the bar. She doesn't know where he's at, but she's like, he must be at the bar. I'm going to go ask the neighbor to watch the kids so I can go down there. And she kind of backtracks. She's like, no, I was just going to go down there and spend time with him. Honey, I don't care if you were going to go down there and yell at him. He deserved it, okay? Go into that bar and yell. Go into that bar and make a scene. Don't get violent, but use your words. I don't care. You don't have to cover that up. Like, if you were mad, you had a right to be mad. Go in the bar, make a scene, cut it up. But she's like getting ready to go to the bar to go find him after hours of waiting. And that's when he gets home and he sees her putting on her makeup, and he makes one of those weird comments like, what do you think you're doing? Where do you think you're going? And she's like, well, I was going to go find you. You're my husband. Why are you at the bar with girls when you're supposed to be, here with me on Valentine's Day? So the kids go into the room, because this is what they said they usually do when this starts popping off. They go into their room and just sit. And if you've ever been that kid before, you know that they were sitting, trying not to listen, but also trying to listen. If you know, you know. Okay? So there was a long somewhere in the house, and she used it that day. She used it. She got him once, and then he was down, and she got him another time. Okay? She got him once, he went down, and she got him another time. That was the kicker, okay? She didn't need to do all that. She calls the cops. Her daughter's screaming. At the time, I'm just guessing the kids were probably like 10 and 12 or something. I don't know. You can hear her daughter screaming her head off. Like, you didn't know if it was a child screaming, a teenager screaming. It was just like screaming bloody murder. The cops get there, tells them what happened. She gets pulled in. Well, she gets pulled in, and she's telling them, he choked me out. Like, he had his hands around here, and I had it. And so I grabbed it. She had said, like, I knew eventually I was going to die this way. And so this was just, I feel like it was just her, it was inevitable. It was either going to happen that day, or it was going to happen in a month, or it was going to happen in a year, but it was just intensifying, So she's in, and she's getting arrested, and why does she talk? Why do people talk? I'm so confused why there's hours and hours of video of people talking to the police. What are you doing? No, never. Even if you're innocent, never. No, you need to get an attorney. Even if it's a free attorney, you will be asked those questions in front of a jury or a judge. That is when you can answer those questions. After your lawyer has sorted through everything and told you what you can say in your best interest and what you cannot say. But no, she's telling them, and I get it, like, in the heat of the moment, you're just not with it. So she's saying, he did this, I did this, he did this. Of course, she's not going home. So they book her. And then, like, you get to see these visits from her kids. And it's so sad. It's so sad. The kids come in, and they're like, we miss you. And she's like, this is what happened. And they say, but he was a bad man. And the boy says, I hope it's just for like a month, Mom. Like, it's so sad. You just want to cry. Like, these kids are so sweet and so innocent. And they go on to say, which is why I'm like, well, you can listen to Sally or you can listen to Ray's friends, but I'm listening to the kids, and the kids say that he used to all the time. Like they knew the noise. They knew that's what dad was doing to mom during their fights, which is whole next level, you know, and that is what they say is like the level of where you're probably not going to make it out of that relationship. So, she goes to trial, and because she's different. Like, she should not have got on the stand. I do not know why her lawyer let her get on the stand. This is military. This is like I said, she's like Eileen. Like, she could not handle. She went straight into military mode when she got up there. It was no personality. They don't want you to look tough up there. This is all kind of like acting, because you're supposed to present yourself as somebody that was a victim and that had to stand up, had to, do this extreme measure to save her life. And she's up there like military, militant. They were cutting the shoulder pads out of her shirts. They told her, you will not work out while you're locked up. Like, you cannot look like this. Why? Because they're going to judge you. They're going to say, oh, look at this tough woman. There's no way. When that's simply not the case. I mean, look at men. Men get abused. Men that are twice the size of their partner get abused. Stop it. Stop the judging. Like, let's just base it on what happened that day, that moment. And yeah, I mean, if you have a past of, I guess if you have a record or a past of domestic calls, okay, that is relevant, but not like, oh, you like to lift weights, you must not be a victim. Oh, you're buff, you're tough, you talk like this, you must not be a victim. Actually, in my head, a really buff, tough woman like that would be the most embarrassed to tell anybody what's going on, because she's like got this persona and she doesn't want to tell. She only told one person what was going on in their relationship, and that person is on this documentary saying, like, I saw her with bruises, I saw her with this, I saw her with, broken this, that, the eyes, everything. But she hid it from everybody else. So, I mean, Ray might have been a good friend. Ray might have been a cool guy. But I trust the kids' opinions, And even as adults, so these kids went on to have, they did go live with her mom. But her relationship with her mom and her childhood with her mom and her stepdad was very similar to what she got herself into, which is how we just keep repeating this stuff until we realize, ding, ding, ding. But when the kids went to live with, grandma's different than mom. So grandma was good. Grandma and grandpa were good. They weren't drinking anymore. They were good pseudo parents to these kids. Thank God. But they weren't like that to her. Anyways, they took good care of her kids. She got, oh God, what did she get, 20 years or something? So she gets out and she gets to go hang out with her kids, and you hear her kids went through almost the same stuff. I mean, the daughter went to the military, and then she got in this type of relationship, and this same thing happened. And I think she got out of it because she was the one that was like, oh, no, ding, ding, ding. Like, okay, let's get it together. We got to know what's right and what's wrong and what I need to do to never get into this, to see these flags and stuff. She looks very well put together now. And like, not that that's a sign that somebody's doing good, but I feel like she was like, okay, never again. We're not going down this path. There are grandkids. I believe they're hers. Now the son went on to have addiction issues. He was in the military too. So you got all the PTSD plus the, generational trauma, and he went on to have addiction issues. But he looks and he says he's doing well now. So they got their mom back now, but they lost all those years with her over what they say was a bad man. She ends up with a relationship by the end of this documentary. I mean, Sally can pull him. She's got this, big dude in like a leisure suit, and they're in love, and it shows their wedding in the documentary, and it's cute, and they seem happy. So it was funny because she's like, oh, we're going to take this very slow. And then you see, like, in the next scene, you see them getting married, and you're like, oh, all right. So hopefully they're all doing good. And like oh, in the documentary, and I think that this is the point that they made, why she got 20 years and why she didn't get out of this like some abused people would, is because they called her Killer Sally in court. They said, do people call you Killer Sally? And she militantly said, yeah, yes. Where a lawyer would probably have advised her to be like, that's a character I play on TV. That's a character I play in the movies, you know? But I think it really did damage her case. So it was a really good document. It's a series. It's a series of 3 videos. But let me know if you've watched it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of that 90s culture, that 90s bodybuilder culture, because I got a lot of thoughts on it, and I've seen a lot of it firsthand. And I've seen a lot of what those types of medications can do to a personality and to a body. If you know anybody around today that got all the way, I mean, people are still doing it, but that was like the peak. Okay. Their bodies, I mean, I could pull a whole documentary out of what I grew up around and seeing what it did to somebody that I know and what their body functions like and does now. Also, what happened to their mental health when you're not that guy anymore, when you're not that guy anymore. Anyways, let me know what you think, and I will see y'all real soon.